friends, let's settle in. Each of us in our own space, wherever that is for you, just allow yourself to settle physically. Just arrive into that spot, even if you've already been seated there or already have been physically there for a little while. As your eyes close, arrive to the spot. And let that really represent arriving to this present moment. Our eyes close, we kind of block out the distractions. That's our symbol to the world that this is our time. And as you allow yourself to physically do that, see if energetically, as you begin to just notice that breath, if you can really allow yourself just to be here in this present moment. Slowly breathing in and slowly breathing out. And whatever you have experienced today, just let it remain in today. It's done. You gave your effort, you gave your energy. But honor this moment here by leaving the parts of today where they belong. We've been on this journey sitting with this first limb of yoga, the yamas, these important teachings about how we interact with the world, which ultimately comes from how we interact with ourselves. And so today we come to this yama that's called Aparigraha. And so I want to just say it just a few times. I want you just to feel the vibration of the word, of the sound. And then we'll begin to just discover a bit about how this ancient teaching, this ancient vibration, this sound has relevance for us today. So as you breathe, just feel it. Aparigraha. And notice your body settling just a bit more. And again, as you're breathing, Aparigraha. We're taught that this word, on its very basic level, means non-attachment. But I like to turn it just a bit instead of the word non, because it sounds like something that you don't do. I'd rather frame it in a way that we give ourselves permission of what we should do and can do and must do. I like to see Aparigraha as letting go. It's our choice. It's our action. Aparigraha, letting go. And through all the teachings of yoga, there's so many examples that we are given, most of them connected to letting go of parts of the ego or letting go of parts of these sensory responses that we have to the parts of the world that come in and interrupt our thoughts, come in and get our attention. But today, in honor of where we are, just in the calendar and our country's history, I'd like to turn our thoughts toward letting go of anger. As we sit here together on this eve of the 9/11 anniversary, I've been seeing social media posts come up. I've seen all these things today as many people remember in their own way. Some of us remember because of something very personal, very tangible that we experienced. Others we remember because of how things have been shared with us. But the one thing that I do remember growing out of this experience that our country and really our world went through on September the 11th was how we began to look at people differently. How fear and anger preceded our ability to see people. And then I thought, it's not just 9/11 and these big, awful events in history that often cause us to do that. We all have things in our life. We have situations, we have trauma, we have betrayal, we have disappointment, we have heartbreak. And these experiences cause certain emotions to rise up within us, the same way that the events of 9/11 did. We were so angry. We felt so violated as a country. We felt like our safety and our security had been taken away. But those same feelings come in these personal things that we go through every day in our life. Situations come and we feel like our safety has been taken away. People make decisions and we feel like our security has been compromised. And usually what happens, just like it did with 9/11, when we feel like our safety and our security has been compromised, fear comes, and from that grows anger. And I know that of all the teachings on this yogic path, we're often, very often, cautioned about the way that we let anger in, because it takes root. It's an emotion that we experience and then we feel, and then Aparigraha tells us we've got to let it go. We've got to let it go. We've sat a lot with this idea of dharma, of purpose, of this collective dharma that we all have on this planet of making way for others to live healthy and happy and liberated lives, just from the way that we are, from the things that we do, the way that we act. But I've learned in my own experiences that when anger comes in and I don't let it go and it takes root, I'm unable to serve that purpose of helping others to feel happiness and health and freedom. And so I thought collectively today, this is one of those things we've all experienced. It's part of our very current history. In events like that, we have two choices. They bring us together and make us stronger because we feel this need to take care of each other, or they bring us together because we're all angry. And I think that if we choose the first, I know that if we choose the first, our ability to fill out this dharma, this purpose, it will be so great. And if we let the anger sit and take root in our lives and cause us to see people differently, our ability to live out this dharma will be this uphill struggle day after day. And so I'd like us just to sit together, and with the 9/11 piece kind of binding us as humanity, I would invite each of us just to figure out what our thing is that we're holding on to. What's the situation? What's the relationship? What's the emotion? What's the heartbreak that's taking root and getting in the way of us living out our purpose? Aparigraha reminds us part of this path, part of this teaching is knowing when to let go. And so what I invite you to do, if it feels right, I know our eyes are closed, no one will even know you're doing it, but I would invite you just to kind of lay one hand in the other, almost like you're kind of cupping water. And just kind of lay those hands like they're making a small bowl or a small container. And just imagine whatever heartache, whatever trial, whatever grief, whatever situation that is really burdening you right now. Imagine that it's right there in those two hands. You can almost feel it in your palm. And then just gently close one hand and just wrap the other hand around it and just hold on to it. And realize that it's part of your story. It's part of your history, maybe recent, maybe long ago. Just like 9/11 is part of our history. It's part of your story. And then you have to decide for yourself, do I want to hang on to this, which means that my hands are no longer free to serve, to live out my purpose, to be a beacon of light and peace for others because my hands are so busy holding on. And I don't expect any of us just to immediately open these hands and just let it go. I'd like us to sit with it. Keep the hands together. Keep holding on to it. And then let's begin to picture our purpose. Thich Nhat Hanh, I quote him so often with these words when he says, waking up each day I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me and I get to live out this purpose with eyes of compassion, with eyes of love in service to others. So we have two choices. We wake up each day and we smile, knowing that we are part of a greater good. And that our walk that day will have places where we can serve in tiny, tiny ways, in big ways. But we cannot serve if our hands are holding on to the things that make us angry, that weren't fair, that hurt us. And so whatever's in your hand, as we sit and we breathe for just these next few minutes of quiet, see if you can give yourself permission to practice Aparigraha. And don't feel like you have to open those hands at any point. We may finish our meditation practice and you may still have your hands closed. But then you'll take this idea of Aparigraha, this teaching of letting go, and you'll still sit with it in the days to come. And maybe along the way, there'll be that moment when you do give yourself permission to open those hands, physically, metaphorically, and let it go. So as much as this eve of 9/11 unites us, let's unite ourselves with just a few breaths together before we sit in the quiet. Feeling the collective strength of this group, of these like-minded people who also struggle with things in the palms of their hands, just like you have in yours, but who are also part of this greater purpose, just like you are. So let's take a slow, deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And a slow breath in. And let it go. One more breath in. And exhale out. And let's just each sit with whatever part of your story is in your hands, with a Aparigraha vibrating in the air between us, matching the vibration that each of us emits. Aparigraha, letting go. And as you continue to breathe, your hands still together or your hands apart, each of us just honoring where we are today. Many of us can remember exactly where we were on September the 11th. The moment we heard the news. The moment we saw the images on the screen. We remember how we felt. And even today, how we feel. But the beautiful thing about this yogic path, this practice, is it reminds us to live in the present moment. The memories are the memories. The events are the events. They're part of our story the same way that 9/11 is in our kids' history books now. The story doesn't change, but we can. We can embrace all the parts of our story. And as we try each day to be present and mindful, we make a choice. We keep our hands gripped, holding on to the things that have caused us pain. Or we release, we let go, aparigraha, so that we can live out the purpose that we've each been given to live. Don't feel bad if your hands are still together. Don't be frustrated with yourself. Just keep this reverberation of this sound, aparigraha. Just keep it echoing in your mind, in your heart. And you'll know when it's time to give yourself permission to begin practicing this gift, this true gift of letting go. Namaste.